and let us all do we can to build a better future.
All right, we got to talk about the progressives. We got to talk about AOC and the squad. We got to talk about how ineffective they are. We got to talk about the fact that we're witnessing Republican lawmakers doing what we wanted to see the 15 congressmen and women for forced to vote do, and that is actually raise the ruckus, hold leadership accountable, actually use their power. Now, it's abundantly clear, and everyone in independent media has stated this, that the squad, the Congressional Progressive Caucus, won't fight for us. They are just pawns for the Democratic establishment machine. They're not designed. They are incapable of actually taking the initiative and fighting for progressive policies and values. And I think all of us can agree we're a little bit jealous and envious of the fact that these Republican lawmakers, and granted, let's be very clear, the Republican lawmakers are fighting for their own policies. People like Matt Gaetz fighting for their own policies here and there. But only imagine if it was possible. And never forget the people who were against forced to vote. People like Cenk Uygur, who have the audacity to run for president. I mean, that announcement was like a fart, right? Happens, people noticed it, then everyone goes on with the rest of their lives. Then you got Sam Cedar, who was proven wrong about how withholding your vote will help out the opposition party. Because as I showed on yesterday's show, even though Hakeem Jeffries in the last vote tally count had the majority vote, he did not get the speakership because the Republicans still have a majority in the House. So those 22 Republicans that withheld their votes for Jim Jordan, they could keep on doing that. We saw Matt Gaetz use that tactic when, again, Speaker of the House or former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, tried not once but 15 times to try and get the nomination. So force to vote works. Force to vote works. And so I want to pull up this video, and shout out to Turncoat Don for actually pulling up this video and getting a little clip of it on how Briahna Joy Gray breaks down how the squad never vote as a block to exercise their power, which is something that the squad will never do. AOC is a career politician, just like everyone else. Everyone else is part of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. And the Democrats and Justice Democrats and Brand New Congress and Our Revolution and any one of these other large groups are now wondering why are people leaving them? Why aren't people giving them money anymore? It's because they can't or will not deliver, or better yet, they're choosing not to deliver because they believe that we're going to be obedient sheep. So let's pull up this video here, and shout out to Turncoat Don. Keep on doing the great work, brother.
Imagine if every time I turn on the TV or look at a news clip and they say, this is the first time that we've ever been without a Speaker of the House. It's unprecedented. It's historical. I think to myself, God, if only it had been Nancy Pelosi. The squad, one of the biggest lies that have been perpetrated on the American public and the left specifically is the idea that calling these people a squad meant they were going to ever vote as a bloc and exercise their power. They could have held up Biden's entire government the same way that Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin did, I would argue, for evil. They could have held it up to, again, deliver on these populist promises. At very least to force Joe Biden to follow through with his own campaign promises, like raising the minimum wage, not disaggregating the $15 minimum wage from the COVID relief must-pass COVID relief bill, or not bifurcating Build Back Better, or actually canceling student debt, or having a more meaningful movement on some of these healthcare reforms, literally, or for some of these procedural rules that Matt Gaetz is asking for that prevent Democrats from being able to say publicly that they support things that they know are popular in their districts, but vote them down because they're never single issue bills. Or for someone like Nancy Pelosi to never bring an enormously popular policy like preventing members of Congress from insider trading, from simply being able to kill it by never bringing it to the floor for a vote.
I'm glad that Briahna Joy Gray brought that up here. So real quick, I just want to address that. Look, if the squad actually gave a damn, if somebody like AOC actually gave a damn, they would be consistent in where they stand on the issues. 5 years in Congress. Now, look how long Nancy Pelosi's been in Congress. She's been doing insider trading with her husband. She has been playing the system for her benefit. And you would think that AOC, being the firebrand politician that she was, especially way early on in 2018, would be consistent in pushing back, fighting back. But the answer is no. No, she didn't do that. She put on an act, and a very good and convincing act. And I think we were all fooled by it. I think all of us, and I'll include myself, I know I was fooled by the fact of what these quote unquote progressive lawmakers were going to do. I thought that they were going to really usher in something brand new. I was wrong. I had hope, and that was the biggest mistake I could ever do, especially when it comes down to covering politics or giving an analysis to it. You don't want to have hope, and you don't want to project your thoughts onto these politicians that live and work in the cesspool that is Washington, D.C. AOC isn't and will never will be the person who she portrayed herself as in 2018. It was a good act. It was a good screenplay. She missed her calling as being an actress. But hey, she at least gets to put on a good show and convince a lot of liberals and diehard DSA sycophants to empty out their wallets to her because she says things that they care about. And she says she'll fight, but oh, if there were only more Democrats in office, and oh, everyone needs to get on social media, start really putting the pressure on all these people who say don't vote Democrat because we gotta push back. AOC was a fraud, is a fraud, and when asked to finally fight way back in 2021, was forced to vote, she chose violence by being silent and dismissing everyone that ever had any kind of hope in her. Hope is the first pass to disappointment.
Again, never bringing something like Medicare for all to the floor for a vote and allowing all these Democrats to sit around acting like they care about people when they don't. So yes, I'm enormously jealous. And I also think that, well,
Yes, and to be clear here, I wouldn't say I'm jealous of what these Republican lawmakers are doing, especially when it comes time to speaking for fighting to get the speakership of the House and how they're using force to vote. I'm left envious. I'm left, well, having a little bit of a melancholy. Like, wouldn't it have been great to see the squad do that? Wouldn't it have been great to see Nancy Pelosi just squirm a little? But no. We'll never see that. Because if you want somebody to fight, don't rely on a Democrat. They got no backbone.
Differ strongly politically from Matt Gaetz. He has identified a number of issues that I think are universally good things that he's fighting for. He's been talking a lot about corruption. He was booed, as I'm sure you remember, by his own caucus for giving a speech on the floor about how corrupt and bought and paid for members of Congress are, and he was completely right about that. Now, I think he and others need to also be transparent about their own financing, but never mind that. And he's been advocating for things like getting single issue floor votes, which are going to create a kind of transparency about who stands for what in Congress. So I support it.
Yep. All of it sounds great, but now let's talk about what the Democrats are doing right now. And again, huge shout out to Briahna Joy Gray, who gave an excellent breakdown to this, because let's listen to this. Democrats now start playing their cards carefully amid GOP's speaker chaos. Oh my goodness. So the GOP's 16-day battle over the speakership has left Democrats patiently waiting, sitting on the sidelines to see if there's a deal to be had. That's code for the Democrats will play ball with the Republicans, like maybe having Jim Jordan, possibly, maybe, if maybe they get something. But what will that be? Well, I can sit here and look at this camera and say, I doubt that Medicare for all or student debt forgiveness is going to be on the table. I seriously doubt that Roe v. Wade or codifying or protecting women's right to choose will be put on the table. Anything for infrastructure, probably within their own inner districts where like the affluent and rich are at, that's probably going to be on the table. They're infrastructure projects to really help out the wealthy communities. There's probably going to be a tax break. And probably they'll ask the Republicans, the politicians, to maybe turn a blind eye to any kind of insider trading. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the Republican lawmakers, just like the Democratic lawmakers, are playing this little game back and forth, with insider trading. They're all part of the same club. And hey, all of you, you should be creative too. What do you think the Democrats are going to ask the Republicans? Because even though Hakeem Jeffries, in a previous video that I played yesterday, got a majority vote, the Democrats do not have a majority in the House, which is why Hakeem Jeffries is not Speaker of the House. The only way that's going to happen is if Republican lawmakers break ranks and vote for Hakeem Jeffries. That's the only way it's possible. Sam Cedar, eat crow. Republicans began Thursday with plans to vote for a third time on whether to make Representative Jim Jordan from Ohio Speaker. Those plans were shelved by midday when Jordan said he would back a plan to temporarily grant powers to Representative Patrick McHenry as Speaker pro tem. After a GOP uproar left it unclear if that idea would move forward, Jordan told reporters he'd move forward with another speakership vote. Have you ever played poker? Representative Jared Huffman retorted when asked about any plans from Democrats to negotiate with Republicans. For a change, we are actually, I think, playing our hand pretty well. Democrats playing poker well. I doubt it. They're going to find a way to crap their pants, just like how Joe Biden does every single day. And that means knowing when to hold. You got to know when to hold them. You have to hold back. I mean, what are we going to go chase a deal with them in a circular firing squad? That makes no sense, Huffman said. The alternative is we run off chasing deals and eliminate all your leverage and probably not succeed anyway. So I think just by default, we're sort of backed into this position of unity and cohesion because of the chaos over there. Republicans are at a standstill over McHenry's proposals, resolutions, many described as dead, even as their backers say otherwise. But as the GOP caps meeting after meeting with no clear results, it's unclear how long Democrats will stay on the sidelines. Democrats were tight-lipped Thursday about the extent of any outreach from Republicans, with many saying they had not been approached or describing any discussions as informal. So here's what that means. There's going to be some blue dog Democrats that will most likely be approached by the Republicans. They'll make a deal. And these blue dog Democrats, they might as well be Republicans, but these blue dog Democrats will probably get a deal. And if it's not going to be Jim Jordan, it's going to be somebody else, somebody that will make Matt Gaetz happy. And those Democrats will break ranks and vote for the Republican. That's the only way that we're ever going to get out of this little quandary. Or at least the Democrats, if they want to get out of this quandary. You think AOC is going to raise the ruckus? No. She's more than happy to support Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat that did everything in his own power to derail and diminish and stop any kind of progressive change, and has been outright a true opponent against progressives. Waste of time the squad is. Tell me, AOC and the squad, how is Briahna Joy Gray wrong? Hell, how is Jimmy Dore wrong? How is RBN wrong? How is Due Dissidence wrong? How is Hard Lens Media wrong? You're being called out in real time. But hold on, folks. I have ourselves a little lovely video. Shout out again to Case Study QB, who's wrongly being censored. Just a short 1-minute video, but let's play it for all you lovely people.
Why don't we just do something of a temporary basis on an interim basis? And that's all we need to do. Give Patrick McHenry the authority he needs for the next few months until maybe the end of the year so that he can get us to doing what we need to do. Watching the leader of the Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, reaching out 2 days ago saying that we will be are willing to be a part of a temporary solution, bring Patrick McHenry forward, and he demonstrated in all of that he had to say that we Democrats are willing to go with a temporary solution to give them time to get their stuff together. It seemed to me that he ought to be grateful for that, but they seem to be ungrateful.
Oh, well, don't worry. Don't worry. There's going to be a plan. There's always a plan when these politicians like to play this game back and forth with each other. But we're seeing how force the vote works. And for those of you who, again, maybe tuned in a little bit late or maybe need a refresher course, again, the party that has a majority gets to select the Speaker of the House, and it's always going to be the majority party. Now, occasionally, if, let's say, said majority party might have a little bit of situation, a little bit of drama, there might be one or two people, there might be 2 people or 3 people vying for that speakership. They could keep on voting and voting and voting And the only way one of those guys in the majority party will get the majority is if the opposite parties decide to break ranks and support the majority a person in that one political party. So Hakeem Jeffries, he's not going to become speakership unless Republicans break ranks, and the GOP is not going to do that. They might have their own internal drama, but I don't see them going that far and doing something that crazy. The only way that's ever been cited before was when Matt Gaetz broke ranks. Him and 7 other Republicans broke ranks to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. But that was Matt Gaetz' plan all along, and he said he didn't like Kevin McCarthy in the first place. So it should come as no surprise that Matt Gaetz now has a lot of political power and muscle to really get what he wants. And that's Jim Jordan as speakership for his own needs. We shall see how that plays out. And the only way Jim Jordan is going to get any kind of real power or become the next speaker is if those 22 holdouts vote or some blue dog Democrats break ranks with the Democrats and vote for Jim Jordan. That's what's going to happen. It's interesting to see force the vote work. It's a tactic that works. I'm glad that Hard Lens Media and so many others were on the right side of history supporting it. And I encourage all of you to never be ashamed when you say that force the vote works, and don't let these people online bully you, because it's a tactic that is effective. It's a shame that we don't have lawmakers to really fight for us. And just to rub salt in the wound, let's be very clear. We asked AOC and 14 other congressmen and women, along with her, to form a voting bloc to withhold their votes for Nancy Pelosi. What a sight it would have been. So let's play this video from the great Matt Orfalea. Because you know something? This video speaks so much truth. Let us never forget how cowardly the progressives in the Democratic Party truly are.
We can't even get a floor vote on Medicare for all.
That's garbage. You can do it right now. We need 15 Democrats.
Jimmy.
We need the elected officials that you helped get elected to tell Nancy Pelosi that you will not vote for her as speaker unless Medicare for all is put on the House floor for a vote.
I think it's a really smart idea.
You know, the worst abuse of power, Crystal, is not using the power you have to fight for people.
Will they? Time to let AOC know they have no other option, because we're watching and we see through their bullshit excuses.
We have to put public pressure on them.
I want to see who's going to vote against healthcare in the middle of a pandemic. If you're not going to do it now, you are never going to do it, you phony.
All the people who filled up your voicemail, they're going to remember whether you did the right thing here.
Which side are they really on? This is where you force progressive House members to reveal who they answer to. Do they answer to their constituents, or do they answer to the party bosses? Listen to AOC's own words.
The Democratic Party does not do more unless it is pushed.
And so this moment is the great unmasking.
Force it to happen.
Ask them, are you fighters or are you careerists? Are you activists for the people, or are you posers on Twitter?
Everyone's going to try to tell you.
It's mostly going to be poser on Twitter. Let's face it. These politicians, they all what they know how to do is just tweet.
That if you're just a little bit nicer, then it'll be fine. No.
The whole point of protesting is to make people uncomfortable. You got to make them uncomfortable. She's pretending to be part of a movement when she's really running cover for Nancy Pelosi. Did you think anybody voted for you so you could vote Nancy Pelosi without getting them anything? This is Medicare for all. People's actual lives depend on us doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's your chance to actually use your leverage. Will you?
Take risks.
Or will you be a party fucking climber?
Start bringing the ruckus on the Democratic Party. Force it to happen. Do not trust any political party to automatically work in your interest.
I call on everybody in independent media to join this mission.
Force it to happen.
Force the Congress to show which side are they really on. No vote for Nancy Pelosi unless Medicare for all is put on the House floor for a vote.
What a sight that would have been. I only can just say, what if? What if? What if? What if? What if we actually had people who had a backbone? But alas, we will not see that day. But I will tip my hat off to Representative Matt Gaetz and the Republicans that have proven us correct. This isn't open for a debate anymore. Force the vote. was correct. And that's that.